Welcome back to the Summer Showdown qualifiers in the East region. This is the final game of the week. It's the Chengdu Hunters going up against the Philadelphia Fusion to close out the week. And Fusion, yeah, they've been alright. MN3, I think, surprised me when I was looking through footage the most. Wasn't actually playing the Ashe, I believe. We may see more of that going forward because Sojourn's just like a really strong pick right now, even against the MN3 dominance on Ashe, apparently.
And we're not really going to any Ashe-type maps anyway, so my guess would be we don't see him in 3 at all coming in, as Carpe has been mostly leading the charge on the Sojourn in this particular meta, but you know, Philly did actually win their game yesterday. Chengdu Hunters, you can see the record down there, 5 and 9, I beleave, if I'm reading that correctly.
8.
It's not been pretty.
8.
5 and 8? Yeah, well, it might be 5 and 9 today if they do lose, as Fusion are looking for their 8 and 6. So it's Chengdu themselves, I think they're obviously the team at the quote-unquote bottom that is the most far away from, you know, being stuck in a 7th place finish. When I say most far away, I kind of consider Fusion and the rest maybe a bit of a tear break, especially on this meta, given how shocking Hunters looked against Seoul. But even then, there is the world where Hunters do bounce back. You know, I think we had Charge looking pretty shocking against Seoul as well, so Shanghai, and their bounce back happened after only a couple of days. So it's not impossible. Historically as well, between these two teams, Chengdu have a very large percentage of wins versus Philly. There are a total of 6 matches ever played between these two teams. Chengdu have won 5 of them, and both of the times they've met this year, Chengdu have won. Philly have not beaten Chengdu Hunters since 2021, Week 2, which is April 25th.
Oh, Jesus,
so
that's a long time ago.
see if they break that. It's over a year now. Let's meet the lineup, see what the starting lineup is going to be for Chengdu. I don't believe it should be any different to what we're already used to. They don't have any roster depth, so the only question is it Gaga starting? Is it Daisy starting? Neither looked completely comfortable in the Junker Queen yesterday, but dare I say Gaga, despite that, still looked better than Daisy, so no surprises that he will start first.
Yeah, and I think when I was looking up footage of this one yesterday, Avril, we saw Gaga and Hunters, in fact, trying to force some kind of Winston composition earlier on in their series, which not a lot of teams have seemed to have drifted away from the Junker Queen. I think they learned quite quickly maybe that wasn't it, Chief?
They kind of cheesed it versus Seoul into a 1-round win, but then afterwards... Seoul, it didn't take long for Seoul just to reset and be like, all right, what's going on here? They're running a Winston, we can do something about this. Running a Fire, we can do something about this. And beyond that, as I said in the cards yesterday with Achilles, it can only last for so long. You can't win a series with that. So, and now that the cat's out of the bag, I don't think they can do it versus Philly, because Philly can be prepared for it. They'll have watched the VOD. Speaking of Philly, let's take a look at their opening lineup. Expectation is that Carpe should be here over MN3, Fury over Bellasaria as well to be playing at Junker Queen, so nothing changed from yesterday's opening lineup. Zest is the player to talk about, though. This is a very important member of the squad, has been the entire year. Kickoff Clash, masterful on the Genji, mid-season Manus, his traces started to come into great effect. And now into the Summer Showdown, we're back into a Genji meta, and Zest is, again, once again, proving that he is one of the better Genjis, if not one of the best Genjis that we have in the league.
Yeah, it's really their time to shine. Rookie player for this season as well, having a lot of fun. Remember them being introduced in week 1 all the way back when we started off the East region. Definitely got on a lot of people's radars at the Overwatch League level after that one. And I'm sure Carpe's having a lot of fun right now being able to jump onto the Sojourn and jump into this one. I think when I'm looking at the Hunters lineup, I think, yeah, they probably are, I agree with you, Avril. I think they're not going to bring much of the silliness. We're not going to see very much admission into the Chengdu zone this time around. I think they will try and probably go for the meta Junker Queen comp, but I feel like they might be a little bit outmatched here by Fusion in this series.
It depends on what the comeback for Hunters is. How much do they learn in their previous matchup? And it's the sort of case where, you know, I will use a Guangzhou example again. You can look tragic versus teams like Seoul and Shanghai, but that's because you're playing against teams like Seoul and Shanghai. I'm pretty sure everyone's going to look tragic against them. We saw Spark getting dominated just yesterday versus Shanghai, given that Spark don't have Alpha Yi yet, so yeah, we'll keep the asterisks on there until Alpha Yi returns. But Hunters losing to Seoul, I don't think is out of the question. The manner in which they lost to Seoul was a little bit concerning, quite concerning, especially Dorado. That actually set a new league record since...
Oh, God.
Unbroken since Season 1, 2018. So it was a cap record that was standing for Dorado finish time for 5 years almost, and for the first time in 5 years, that record got broken by Seoul versus Dorado. So, yeah, it was pretty gross how one-sided that was. But it also seemed to me that Hunters at that stage were pretty checked out. They knew it was going to be a 0-3, so I don't know. Part of me just saw the white flag being waved and the towel being thrown in, and it was all kind of over before the bell even rung. Now that they have a fresh opportunity to come through against a team that is not Seoul Dynasty, not the Shanghai Dragons, given that LA Valiant came close to Fusion yesterday, Fusion are not out of striking distance for the Chengdu Hunters. I do favor the Fusion in this matchup, but Chengdu Hunters have a bounce-back opportunity in the same way that Guangzhou just had that same bounce-back opportunity versus the Valiant.
I think one of the things I joked about when I came in here when we were doing a quick little catch-up earlier in the day was, from what I've seen so far, Eastern region results seem to be coming in how you'd expect, not like North America where there's loads of upsets coming in. And then you could argue whether or not it's an upset, but we have Charge win against the Valiant. Expectations
I would
were
say
Valiant would win that.
Charge
Yeah,
are lower in the standings. They looked worse than Valiant. I would say it's an upset, yeah.
Yep, but then we're also setting ourselves up for this one. Could we just flip the script and turn the East into the silly region again by having a bunch of upsets today here by Hunters taking down the Fusion?
I mean, we don't have, a case where Houston can beat one of the best teams and then lose to one of the worst teams in the case of the same weekend. So we don't have any of that. So right now, I think firmly NA is taking on the role of unpredictable chaos, whereas we have a lot more predictable results coming on through in a strange way. I think that's because of a more established hierarchy between Seoul Dynasty, Shanghai Dragons, and the rest. But among the rest, games like this should still be reasonably close. Like, I think it would be disappointed if a Chengdu versus Philly game did not deliver a reasonably competitive result. I think I am, again, concerned based on Chengdu's performance yesterday, but you know, you don't want to count them out until you really get in there and they don't look good. So, yeah, and Philly still had some moments where they really struggled versus the Valiant yesterday. And so, among the teams in the sort of not Shanghai, not Seoul tier, things are still bouncing around quite a lot.
Well, let's kick this series off then. Final one of the week for the East region, Avril. Starting it off on Busan. Control map to kick things off. I'm having a little sneaky preview ahead of where we're going to be starting, and we're actually going to be starting in Mecha Base this time around.
Yeah, we actually played this last night as well. Philly versus LA Valiant, and it was the final map of the series. A very, very much a nail-biter as well, where some fair criticism given towards Fury rather, for not really hitting any of those rampages. He really struggled yesterday to nail the Junk Queen ultimate, so hoping today that has been somewhat addressed, and hoping that he will be able to hit a lot more consistent rampages on the side of the Chengdu Hunters compared to what he did versus the Valiant. But Zest went off. Zest had an incredible map that really is one of those moments where you're like, even if the Fusion are losing, Zest refuses to lose. So, how does that look today? Let's start things out. As mentioned, Busan, Mecha Base, round number 1.
They're running out to the high ground to go and contest, as you'd expect. Playing around this central column. Shurikens come out for the time being.
Gaga's already
taking the 50% HP. Shout will ability to do there, but Gaga removed off the field by Aim God. Charging there with the flail point blank range. Second kill coming in as Nisha has also been removed. And this is not a good start for the Hunters. They're going to concede that first point unless there's some mighty retake that comes back in here.
Yeah, I think Hunters just lucky to get out with 3 alive there. Only 2 members actually went down. Gaga supremely quickly just got deleted. I don't know what hit him for a ton of damage. Maybe Kabe hit a headshot on a rail, but Gaga's HP just went away in the blink of an eye. The shout couldn't even save him. They don't give away too much ult charge, given that only 2 members died. Some early damage on the Hunters again. Half HP for most.
Yeah, Jinmu forced back, play around this wall. Sound waves constantly keeping Jinmu in check, not letting them get too close to the party. 20% in accruing for the Fusion, who have already captured that point off the back of their first win. Some distance being put between them and Leave right now. Has an angle, but not the clear line of sight to be able to take the shot. Zest onto the back line, finds Leave. Beautifully done there, turns attention back to the main fight as Fury will clear out Monk. And now they just have to force the Hunter straight back to the spawn once more. Ooh, Jinmu nearly getting caught out there, but dashes to safety.
And they will at least get a trade kill this time, but it's another situation where only 2 members die, they don't lose the other 3, so another silver lining. Also, you know, bonus points to you, Trid, there for remembering the real name of what a booth is. Not many people know that. It's a trivia question. As look out for that one on Overwatch in a future battery of his own short, but 56% and counting now. First ultimate starting to come online. Fixes Nisha, played for by Zest.
Oh, Dragon Blade into the back. There's 1, 2. Make it a third as he finds Leave as well. There's no more targets left to kill. Zest has already graded them all. 67% and climbing. We're into that final section of this round.
And you'll notice that Nisha died on 99 there as well, so that could have been a clutch save coming from Chengdu Hunters, but they were just off by a small margin, not being able to get that ultimate. And Nisha actually did die in a previous fight as well, so small stuff like that does count. Now we get the support ultimates available for the Hunters they walk on board.
Jimu's going to use this blade and go straight into the beat from Vixer, deploys it just on time as well. Nisha's going to answer back, rally as well. They've lost Gaga in all this chaos, and Jimu cannot capitalize off the Dragon Blade. Nice shot there from Leave across the map. We'll take out Carpe. This is the best shot the Hunters have had of taking the round and flipping it over. They're unable to do so yet. Vixer comes back in, finds Monk. There's a rally from Aim God, sustaining them as
shut
well.
down.
Leave's gone, that's it. It's all over for the Hunters on this map. Surely they're not going to be able to come back from here as the Rampage cuts through, finding Gaga and Nisha cutting off their support. Aim God was a victim of Gaga's draft before the round ended. Gaga's trying to get the Rampage online, cannot touch, and Nisha just a second too late to keep it going 100% to 0, going away at Fusion. Hunters came alive at the end there, though.
Yeah, but it's a little bit too late, given that they were so far behind. They lost members as well. The touch really doesn't matter there. They just didn't have the people alive to contest. Gaga had a rough game there. I mean, in comparison, 3 members of Fusion didn't even die at all during that opening round of Mecha Base. Zest, Fury, and Fixer, all deathless. Only 3 frags coming through from Hunters. 1 on Carpe, 2 on Aim God, and Carpe did die via that very slick rail headshot from Leave. But not a lot else from the Chengdu Hunters to speak about. Like I said, they started to come up a little bit more towards the end. But the ultimates were just so much slower. Everything was so much slower. Jimu's going to try the Pharah here, given that because Carpe's in, they're not expecting the MN3 Ash. We're also... Okay, well, maybe Carpe will swap now.
Momentum carried forward for Leave, who came back into their own towards the end of that round, taking out Carpe. Leave were taken around by Aim God. Jimu up in the skybox with the Pharah. Variation we saw being played on Village earlier in the day. Now, just going to settle it back down again as Monk finds Aim God. It's the best opportunity Hunters have got. They might be able to go ahead and get that cap, or at least get a positional advantage. Jimu follows up with a second as Fury will go down. When do you start calculating whether a change is required here for the Fusion? Because they are not getting much done against the Pharah Jinmu. Yeah,
this is where you have to learn from the mistakes of other teams, right? You have to respect the Pharah. You have to bring out some actual counters. And, you know, for people wondering, it's like, well, is Pharah actually good here? In a way, Pharah is good. Pharah is good when the other teams don't do anything, aka Valiant versus Guangzhou Charge. But when you swap over to the Echo, Pharah's ability to win diminishes greatly. And, you know, Zest is barely punished for the swap either, because he gets to retain 30% ult charge. So, yeah, it looks fine. I mean, he's got more ult charge still than Carpe, and Zest swapped heroes.
Jimu on the ground. Now has an aerial threat to look out for. Echo should be the good shutdown option. Playing around terrain nicely to dodge out these rockets. Now there's a hunt coming in. Zest then with the cut down, focusing beam to finish off Jimu. Should be seeing more of that. They stay on it. Zest finding a second before Gaga gets the headshot to clear them out. Gaga again with the jagged knife. Lee follows it up, so all the good work that Zest put in there to try and flip the point has now been countered by some fantastic play by Gaga and Leave.
Yeah, I mean, Leave was not playing like this yesterday. He's really coming alive on the Sojin now. 54% in counting. Hunters making a strong hunt for the counter, for the comeback, I should say, after losing the first round of Mecha Base. And well, you put in the work via the rails. Jimu nearly on that barrage. Hard to use a barrage in this meta. What you're really looking for is an isolation kill onto a single member. You're not looking for a big barrage. In fact, you very much want the smallest barrage possible, because it's likely that you die mid-barrage, or like that, you just die even before it. Zest will just get you in the sky.
Yeah, it didn't even lock coordinates before Zest locked them down. Oh, nice snipe there. Overclock coming in from Leave. Snipes one. Wants to reposition for the second one. Take the shot, disrupt the field in the middle of the fight. There's the shout coming in. Rally as well. Beat from Fixer. Everything thrown to keep them up.
Oh, Aim God!
Hunters have done it again. There's the barrage. Just finds Aim God. And they will return back down to the point. 95% Fusion have been locked out of this round. Unable to get in here with a consistent touch. Zest comes back to the point, trying to find one. Takes duplication out. Jimu removes Zest from the sky. This is it. This is the Hunters tying out Busan. We're going to go over to Sanctuary to close it out.
It's 100-0 both ways as well. I mean, this was not at all a problem with Zest, because he did his job. He killed Jimu.
Yes.
He countered the Pharah. the Fire was shut down for the most part. What really happened here is difference maker for me was that Leave came alive on the Sojourn and started hitting some disgusting rails. He is now leading the way next to Zest on 9 final blows. So both of these players have 9 final blows apiece. Currently, Zest is deadlifting for Fusion as well. 9 out of a total 18. Leave has 9 out of 20. So he's 1 away from deadlifting, or rather 2 away, because he would need to get further kills as the total would increase if his kills increase. I also want to note a stat line for Leave's railgun accuracy is currently sitting at 70%. That's significant because you have to remember the Sojourn rail did get nerfed in between our last patch and now. The rail accuracy is significantly worse unless you have high energy charge. So the fact that he's got 70% rail accuracy on a nerfed rail shot, that's quite impressive. He's now going to start on the Widowmaker.
Leave refuses to play the meta, jumps onto the Widowmaker. Not seeing him on the Sojourn once again. Can still find value. We saw this earlier. Oh my god! Speaking of value, it's a bargain bin where Aim God's heading straight for. And the Hunters come out swinging again. And Sanctuary first cap is definitely theirs.
Yeah, I mean, this is now Leave taking command. We haven't seen this from Leave for, I think, the whole season, where he just dominates the battlefield and controls everything. And you have Aim God kind of peeking through. Luckily, he does he does actually have the shield up, so he's not just peeking with his head open, kind of checking for Leave's positioning. They'll know about that now. A big question will be how long can Leave keep this up for, because you don't normally see a Widowmaker in this current meta on this position. I think you used to see Widowmaker here a long time ago in 6v6, but harder to get value as a Widowmaker against a composition that's so fast it can be in your face. So Zest needs to keep a lid on Leave here.
Oh, well, shows himself the lead, gets body shot. Knocked again. Has to use to deflect defensively, just trying to stay alive. Leave finds Fixer! Someone challenge Leave! You turn away for 1 second. Zest gives him the free reign and he takes your support out of the fight. Just standing there with the assault rifle fire. Finally, Zest will cut them down. It's a dire situation as Nisha will also go and find Carpe to level out the damage options. Carnage cuts through, but it's Jinmu to find Fury at the end there. The Hunters are still holding on to this one. They're winning the fight as Jinmu gets the reset, goes for Fixer, and now it's 60%.
Carpe's going Widowmaker now. Okay, here we go. Carpe Classic coming on through. He wants to challenge Leave mano a mano. Giving up on the Sojourn here. I would have said the Sojourn should be pretty effective, given that if you can play the pacing properly, the Widowmaker shouldn't be a problem, but Philadelphia Fusion are struggling to challenge Leave. It seems like Leave is getting value on these fights, giving 5v4s over. And we're going to slow this game right down, but what happened to Fury? How does he just die solo to Gaga?
I have no idea, Avril. Leave shut down the blade! Leave is a monster! That's final fight territory! Now they've got the infosites. There's nowhere you can go. There's nowhere you can hide. One pick, and that should seal off. Zest has gone over to the Tracer. Zest is on the Tracer to try and contest this now. Carpe's gone. Gaga's found them. Engel's all over.
That's it.
Hunters! They've just grabbed themselves. Wait on a minute. They just let Fusion cap.
But they have the play. No, they have the play advantage. They'll still win.
Yes.
Don't worry. It's not going to be 100-0, but they are still going to win. Especially with that. Especially with that.
Leave forces the swaps. They force Fusion to adapt to them, but they cannot break it through.
Boy.
Shuts down a Zest blade the second it's pulled, and completely shut out Fusion from 2 consecutive rounds on Busan. What happened between yesterday and today? You could argue it's the strength for their opponents, but you kept calling it, Avril. Leave is playing something different today.
Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. And Fusion act like they forgot about Leave. So, wow. What a showing. What a showing for it. This is what I'm talking about, Dread. You cannot count out a team like Hunters that, okay, you can look tragic versus Seoul, but that doesn't tell the full story of how good a team could actually be once they don't face one of those top 2 teams. And with Hunters being unlocked like that, it's scary because they're even winning off meta. They won with the Fire even against the Echo. Leave comes out with a Widowmaker. Carpe feels like he needs to challenge it. And then Leave just wins anyway. What a phenomenal performance. That's the 2021 Leave MVP level of performance that we've been missing this entire year.
Magic has been recaptured here on Busan. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, map number 2, the Fusion. they are reeling from that map loss. They have to bring it back, otherwise they could get shut out by the Hunters. Welcome back to the Summer Showdown. The Chengdu Hunters lead their series against the Philadelphia Fusion to close out the week. Busan, it was looking good for the Fusion. Then Leave came online. 2 consecutive shutdown maps coming in from the Hunters to secure the first map of the series. We're now looking ahead to map number 2. And the Fusion, got to have a really strong pep talk there in the middle of that map, because otherwise they are going to be shut out here by the Hunters.
I mean, look, I enjoy
Midtown,
the Fusion
Kumbaya
circles, but they needed that was a rough loss. You can't be too upset though, because yes, I don't know what it is. Fusion do lose these map 1s, and we saw it yesterday as well versus Valiant, where almost a familiar story where it's actually, did they lose that, or am I tripping right now to actually? No, they did lose. They actually lost it 2-0. They lost it even worse versus Valiant yesterday, but they bounced back, and it was Midtown. They beat Valiant in Midtown. And they beat Valiant on Circuit Royale, they lost in Queen Street, but then won on Busan. So Philly, the pathway is still there. Yes, they lose map number 1. Valiant both Chengdu will take that. The question will be for both teams now that, especially for Fusion, it's like, okay, well, does the same bounce back happen on the same map? For the Chengdu Hunters, it's like, you were good on our opening map. How does that continue now? Can we convert further? Is Leave still going to be insane after Busan? Is Jinmu going to do more shenanigans? Certainly the Fire was fine, but the Genji has to be good as well. So the Genji needs to be top tier to actually match up against Zest. And Gaga actually started to play a lot better as well. I was very concerned about Gaga's performance yesterday, but here, aside from the first round, he looked okay.
What's Fixer doing up here, huh? What's he doing up here? Lurking. Probably being a menace. Thinking of evil things
I don't
to do.
actually know if that's a spot you're supposed to be able to stay on, but the admins decide that.
May have just outed himself.
I'm pretty sure though, I'm pretty sure those types of positions are usually illegal. But I don't know, there's probably a few bugs.
Well, Jinmu's about to call the cops. He needs them. He's been assaulted very hard. And he will reset the fight for the Hunters as they rotate back.
Because I can tell you a Widowmaker would not be allowed to stand there. If a Widowmaker was sniping from that position, that would be illegal, 100%. So, given that,
true.
other players, other
wall,
heroes should probably not be able to stand there either. So we'll figure that out at a later point. Monk and Nisha are probably going to die here.
Yep, should be a follow-up there as Fixer goes into the train to hunt them down. And the Hunters have had a minute of their time back burned by the Fusion. Looking for any extra kills they can get on the outside. But no, leaves too mobile for that one and will return to the spawn room.
So first minute expended here. No dice so far. Great responses by the Fusion. Addressing the positioning of the Hunters wherever they seem to go. And Zest cleans up a bunch of damage there. It's Jinmu this time with the deflect on the Carthage. My goodness. Talk about a rail headshot.
Oh, and then Zest is going to immediately turn it back around with some shuriken shots of their own. Hunters have started to get a touch on the point, but they don't have the numbers right now. Oh, and Zest pulling out the blade, going on the hunt. Leave. Can't escape that one. It's AimGod who steals the kill at the end. Oh, nice sound wave there. Nisha still alive until AimGod cuts them down instead. And this is the Fusion dominating the Hunters consecutively again. We're about to hit the halfway point of their time bank.
Just the positioning, control of understanding where players are going to be for Zest. He just always is able to dash onto targets and still land onto other targets for the resets. That's what you want out of a Genji player. It's something that Becky wasn't doing very well on the Valiant in our previous matchup, but here, in a fresh game, 2 minutes left now. Hunters, if you get to really make any momentum coming on through, we had that one nice frag from Jinmu with the deflect on the Carpe, but with Zest pulling the blade, it wasn't going to go too well for Hunters that fight.
Nisha, under threat. Oh, just heals enough to not be killed out by that one. Shout comes in from Gaga to heal the team. Gonna throw the blade in, pull it back. No one being caught out by that one just yet.
Should be the Jinmu blade coming.
Yeah, when the Jinmu blade comes online, you do have the Fixer sound barrier for this one and AimGod's rally. So double support ultimates will get probably counted against each other. I'm looking towards
Ideally
Fury.
they win this fight without spending Fury's Rampage as well.
Okay, so all the support ultimates used now thrown into the mix. Blade still not pushed. Jinmu's going to catch it right at the end here. Fury about to get the Rampage online. Hunters have control of the point,
no!
But Lee takes him out. No! Again, the second ultimate shutdown of this series coming in from the Madman. And now Hunters have to capitalize on this one, but they're locked in the room, hiding from Carpe's overclock.
And they can do that. Fury's going to come back on a Doomfist now. It's still a 5 versus 4 until Fury gets there. Gaga has a fresh opportunity to pull through on a Rampage that cannot be countered, assuming he can land this Rampage. And it comes down to the Fusion, and they got to start touching.
Monk's gone. Zest being the one to take them out. There's Fury's Doomfist coming into the fight. Lee
Gaga
hiding at the back with the overclock. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything here.
Where's Gaga?
Have to expend that. Wait, Jinmu just took out AimGod. Jinmu again finds Fury. Jinmu's keeping the team alive. Zest takes out Leave. 20 seconds remaining. This is going to be one hell of an assault coming in from the Hunters. They got Gaga's Rampage. If Gaga goes down, this is going to be disastrous for them. They might not have time. Jinmu is back in this fight again. They cleaned it up. They didn't even have to use that pivotal ultimate, and they're back on their points.
I mean, goodness, Jinmu really clutched that fight, because if not for Jinmu, that would have been probably maybe
Game
even
over.
a fight loss for Chengdu Hunters. Gaga was very patient with that Rampage. It will end up paying off, but not in a comfortable way. I'm sure the viewers were clenching at that moment where it's like, Hunters, hello Hunters, you're supposed to be winning this fight. You have the critical ultimate. Fusion are coming back with the retake. We are going to move through onto the second round. It should be a game win button, but you have to ask Fury if he agrees.
Well, you need to unlock that. It doesn't come to you naturally.
Yeah, Fury didn't. He doesn't have the DLC for that. He doesn't have the Junk Queen Ultimate DLC unlocked.
Ultimate DLC for Zest being pulled out. Oh, and Jinmu cuts him down. Gaga moving forward. Just in the face right now of the enemy team. Goes for the Carnage, still holding on to the ultimate as Jinmu and Monk are doing work around his peripherals. Jinmu is having a stellar map on this Genji, just coming in clutch in all these fights, and now has a Dragon Blade for his troubles.
Speaking of Dragon Blade, the shutdown to Zest is important as well. That really put Fusion down, given that it was probably going to be a pretty big tool. No support ultimates available. And the Chengdu Hunters, the question I asked at the start of this was, well, okay, we figured out Leave a little bit more, but what about Jim? Where's the Genji at? And he's saying, Genji do be here. As we move through the underpass, surely this is the Rampage time now. This is, well, it actually could just be the Blade. They want to use one of the Rampage and the Blade, and ideally want to fight off that. If support ultimates are committed by the Fusion, which they probably will be, then the second ultimate will be used.
Honestly, the anger management from Gaga coming in right now is absolutely obscene. Being able to hold on to that Rampage for so long. But
he's a Winston master, so he's used to the anger management.
Ah, true. Actually true. Gaga now going to move around onto the point itself to contest. Use the shout on the entry. Double support ultimates online. Hunters have everything, but it's not enough to save Nisha! As Carpe finds the railgun shot.
They're about to lose Monk!
What are they doing? No, Monk survived! How did Monk get away with that one? And they're on the hunt, they want them. Hunters being forced back as Lee gets the counter pick on the Fixer. No barrier coming in here. Rampage only finds Fury for the time being. One and done as Leave is picking up Carpe. And Gargo's removed Fury. There was 20 seconds left on the clock. They were one member down, and the Hunters clap back!
Why did Aim God ult? You know you've lost this point. You just got to say the rally foresee. That is not the way that Fusion have to be playing. I don't know what's going on here. Hunters looked like they were out of that fight. They were 4 versus 5. Fusion had punished the passiveness of the Chengdu Hunters, and Hunters had 5 ultimates, didn't push on in, but then when Hunters started to fall back, Fusion got punished for over-chasing, and Hunters bounced back. Leave continues domination.
Even Zest is in his face right now, that's enough to shut him down, but he took Carpe with him, so it's a 1-for-1 damage deal trade. Fixer drops the beat, Nisha's going to answer back as well. Still got a couple of ults available to use. Wait for this to expire.
Oh, that's
Fury. Use the Rampage, it finds 4, and Jinmu is going to go down for it. Nisha follows up, Monk surely has to be on the way out as well as Gaga. They can't live through this one. And the Fusion have taken it back to a minute in this final section.
Yeah, I said that Fury didn't unlock the Junk Queen Ultimate DLC, and he's like, hold on a second, let me cash in my Blizzbucks and get that on board right now, right damn now. We're going to need this Ultimate for the next fight, and it comes in handy. Less than 1 minute left to go now. It's a classic Fusion spawn hold.
Or it's a cluster right now. Carpe under the threat. Jinmu going to trade him out as well. As Zest takes out Nisha, 2-for-1 trade in favor of the Hunters. 30 seconds remaining, they're not on the payload. Fixer takes out Leave. There's still a man advantage to the Hunters. They need to capitalize on this one. If they can take out Fury, it's looking good for them. Just leaves Fixer to linger around. This is going to be really bad for the Fusion. Staggered out as they'll be pushing this payload into the final sections of the map.
Yeah, and no Blade as well, so that's really unfortunate for the Fusion. And I didn't expect Hunters to get out of spawn that cleanly, but they do. They're going to have all members alive now. Jinmu walking forward as Gaga getting ready for that next Rampage. It'll be the only ultimate online, and dare I say it's more than good enough to actually finish the map with. But Gaga needs to commit. He's got to execute. This one's got to hit at least, I would say, 3 members.
Goes to stay in there, keeps him above 50%. Drops down to 30, this is so vulnerable. He's going to use it under his life! He was focused so hard, there was no clean opportunity for Gaga to use that safely. It's now on Leave to pick up the pieces, but Fixer has removed the Puzzle Master from the board as the Fusion will begin to shut down Hunters and cut them off at the home stretch of Point C.
And this is where I got to calm the mob a little bit, because I think everyone's going to like drop in like the hate about like what Gaga being bad there or something, but you have to understand, Fusion played that situation very, very well. The timing was such that Gaga didn't have the Rampage. She was on like 98, 99, just struggled to get the last bit of damage in to confirm the 100% and go for it. And during that time, Fusion committed damage on a Gaga. I don't know if they knew that he had ultimate. Maybe their ultimate tracking was just brilliant. But if there was one member that Fusion needed to pressure down, it was Gaga. And they put enough damage into Gaga that once Gaga actually had the ultimate up, there's 2 choices there for the Hunters. You were either on a back on out, heal Gaga up, and then go on the Rampage, or you're just going to go for it and see what happens. And unfortunately, because there's no time left, we were hitting OT. you can't back up as Hunters. You are committing to the play. So Gaga, even on low HP, has to go for the Rampage as the only possible out. Otherwise, he dies anyway.
Yep.
And because his low HP is low, he dies, and there's no Rampage. So Fusion put him in between a rock and a hard place. Nothing Gaga or Hunters could have done there. No time to reset to heal him up. Yeah, just well done for the damage pressure.
Yeah, like you said, we saw the ultimate come online. He was at 30% HP and dropping. There was no way that they were going to live through that. The best they could hope for is maybe hit 1 or 2 targets on the way out, do a bit of martyrdom, and cut off the healing. But now we go for the defensive side of Hunters. Jinmu back on the far up. We know how this usually goes for the Fusion. They see the Jinmu, and they're like, you know what? We'll play it out, see how it works. If it's not going to work for us, then we bring out the Echo and shut you down that way. Is this with the change?
There's
the Echo.
It should be pretty clean as well. I've actually seen a reasonable amount of Fire defense here, because the Fire can abuse the sort of opening train car to fly around the geometry. Also, that apartment building that's his park, you can use that a lot as well. So the Fire has a lot of good angles to work with. Still loses the Echo though.
See, Jinmu relatively untouched for the time being. Fusion needs some healing given over to Carpe. And Fury for that matter as well, as they're about to drop down, but it's muted the play, slowed it all down a bit. Leave takes Zest out. Railgun shot on the ground. Fury should be following up as well, as Jinmu can play low and slow fire right now. 1 minute burn from the Fusion, they'll come back for a counter.
And even without the Fire ult charge bug, Jinmu's still like pacing really heavily for this barrage. The only issue is barrage kind of sucks in this meta where it just doesn't have any value. The only good news is because Zest isn't on Genji, the barrage doesn't just get deflected, but instead of it being deflected, Zest just kills you in the skies. It just drops stickies on you mid-barrage. So you're abusing LOS here is super important, which is why this A defense with this kind of opening geometry is okay. But yeah, Zest is just going to hunt down Jinmu as much as possible.
Yeah, makes the beeline. Has to make the beeline for him. Easy pickup as well. You've lost your aerial support. Usually it means the ground war is going to follow afterwards as well. They're sliding out. Gargar's left isolated in the train car. This should be another easy pickup. Gargar trying to take Zest with him on the way out. Won't be successful. And now Fusion will rotate over to the point. The respawns are coming in for the Hunters.
I really, really like this from Fusion. Just their ability to understand the counterplay properly. I don't know why it took so long for, you know, the teams that we've casted so far here in APAC to sort of pull the Echo out versus the Fire. Like, it's just such a basic way. I'm still a little bit tilted from the Valiant response to the Fire a little bit early on, I suppose. But yeah, Zest on 71 now. Interesting to see how Jinmu tries to play this barrage. There's a couple of interesting areas here. As the Fusion come out from their quote-unquote spawn positions, Jinmu's actually not playing the right places. He needs to be way further forward up to abuse this high ground. This Fusion's dangerous.
Yeah, he needs to play around.
He's actually lost it now. Fusion have escaped.
Yeah. Oh, Gargar took out Zest though, so that does clear up the skies for Jinmu to be able to walk forward. If you were going to barrage, probably now is the time to do so, even though it's a one fight, because like you said, there's no Zest to just take you out the sky.
So here again, this position right here is what Jinmu needs to abuse. All of this around here, so as Fusion come on out, you have to look up to try and deal with the Fire. And not only that, but you think about how Zest has to play this as well. He can't just sort of fly into the open, so it is pretty difficult. He's got to try though, he's got to just try and run at him. You see, as soon as he does, he gets shot by League, so he's got taken quite low.
Gargar has this rampage as well. They'll be able to commit that one in. Gargar moves forward, finds the back line. Zest takes out Jinmu, so they won't bring the barrage to the fight table. Anti-heal applied to 3 members of the Fusion, but they're keeping them up. Double support ultimates get layered. Keep Fury in the fight. They've only lost Carpe so far. The Zest brings out a second Junker Queen, but cannot find the ultimate charge. Certainly having the impact on the field though. Won't find the hook back with the Jagged Blade. And we'll reset back.
Whoa.
Leave? Hello? You can't be getting away with that one. Fixer gets sprayed down as well. The Hunters have salvaged this one away.
Where's he going?
Looking like a disastrous fight. He's blowing into the fight. He doesn't care. He slides past your front line, hits you in the back. Leave. Back out here making an MVP statement.
He's just flying past Fury, doesn't even care, knows that his team will take care of it, and he's trying to chase down the supports, but he just destroys Zest, gets rid of the duplicated Junker Queen, then kills Zest Echo Form straight afterwards as well. And Philadelphia get no mileage off that at all. Jinmu is back now, abusing the same angles, still desperate to find a rocket barrage opportunity. Again, it's hard to get a barrage off here. He just wants to get 1 kill and hopefully stay alive. If you can get a 2-for-1 trade, i.e. kill 2 and then die in a barrage, that's still a positive trade. So I think that's the kind of mark that we're looking for.
Finds one. Carpe doesn't find the second as Zest shoots him out, but he was close. He was close to getting that second one. Fury using the rampage, finds 4. It's all members who are alive, but the Hunters have been affected by the anti-heal. Zest moves forward with the focusing beam to take out Lee. Then he finds Nisha as well, turns the attention to the main pack of the fight, and it's the supports who get the boards. And it's 2 minutes remaining.
And
still plenty of time for the Fusion to pull this one off.
And I think the only reason why Jimmy was still on the fire, for what it's worth, is because he retained ult charge from A, and also the opening area of B is somewhat defendable for Fire. But had they lost this fight and Jimmy still had the barrage, I think he would have swapped off anyway and just deleted his own barrage. It's just not going to be good enough. Jimmy kills Zest. Watch Zest can now go towards the Genji. Now that there's no fire, no reason to play the Echo.
We'll get that shot onto Gaga. Fusion back away from the payload. Going to be holding that high ground for now. Waiting for the respawns to come in. Should be able to push forward again. Jinmu just harassing on the Genji as you'd expect, building towards that ult charge. With the Fury on the payload for the time being, just to keep it moving where they can.
Fury's last rampage was so successful because Nisha's sound barrier just ended. It was a perfect 4-man hit after Jinmu died as well. And I know where to survive that. So 1 minute left, and this is still a very holdable position for the Chengdu Hunters, given that we've slowed down the gameplay completely here as we're waiting for ultimates. Should be rally versus rally here with an extra rampage online for Gaga.
1 minute remaining. Leave. Has a lot of charge to be able to pop the railgun shot in a second. Just needs a target for it. Rallies, answered back from each other. B comes out on Fixer. Gaga doesn't pull out the rampage in time! And Fury was able to take them out. Nisha did not have a barrier to match Fixers. There was a huge health resource oversizing coming from Fusion. As they'll be able to walk this one in. I don't know how you can test this about your main tank.
Okay, well, you're going to go in. Actually, Jinmu has the ability to dash on N and D flank, and Gaga will go for it now. Big 4-man hit.
Oh my god, Gaga able to go and find 4. Damage is enough as Gaga there to finish him off. Hunters have just dismantled the Fusion. If they die fast,
they're staggering. They're actually going to stagger. They're staggering the Jungle Queen. They're staggering Fury. He's going to die in the final few seconds here, and there's no main tank now. There's no main tank for Fusion with 10 seconds remaining.
They're going to try and fly back. Zest has to be the one to touch here, the most mobile. Might not even get there in time. 1 second remaining. Dashes through, gets the touch. Triggers OT, but immediately dies. There's no answer here. They're having to send in Fixer to die on the point. Everyone fails to complete it. The Hunters take a 2-0 lead against the Fusion, and someone needs to go and check on Bad Pachamari.
Oh my goodness. What is going on? The teams that got destroyed by Seoul and Shanghai are coming out with a vengeance that is disgustingly good for the Chengdu Hunters. They buy just enough time for Gaga to get back in. Yeah, he did die in the previous fight, but Jinmu with the heroics here, he dashes on and has Deflect ready to go, has a double pack from Monk, I'm pretty sure, from the Brigader as well, stays alive, keeps the payload contested, gets just enough time for Gaga to put in the rampage. It's a 4-man rampage, and guess what? The only person alive is Fury, and they actually stagger him. They stagger Fury on the Jungle Queen. I mean, that's GG. That's an instant fight win. That's nothing that Fusion can do about it. So clean.
I did not expect us to see at match point Hunters 2 maps into this one, April. The 3-0 scoreline was probably predicted by many, but not this way around. We're going to a break. When we come back, what could be our final map of this series as the Chengdu are at match point. Welcome back to the Summer Showdown qualifiers. We're in our final series of the week, and things have definitely got a little bit spicy here. Leave has come alive, as have the Hunters, and they lead the series 2-0 against the Philadelphia Fusion. We're looking forward to map number 3. We got 2 bits of news for you. First of all, map number 3 is going to be Junkertown. Second of all, MN3 has come in for Carpe.
Yeah, and here's how I'm going to justify this. MN3 is your designated Widow Ashe player compared to Carpe, who's your designated Sojourn player. It is Junkertown, and there is a small chance that MN3 might go on to some of those heroes for Junkertown. Although, I did say that for New Queensbury yesterday, and then MN3 just played Sojourn anyway, so who really knows? That has got to be the methodology. I also think that you're in a position where you're down 0-2, Chengdu are on match point, and your Fusion, you're getting a little bit worried here, and you kind of need to, maybe they feel like they need to change up something, maybe they feel like they need to, I don't know, make a desperation swap, but something's got to give here, because that last map was very well controlled by the Hunters, and Fusion, man, it's not looking pretty. They were slated to beat the Hunters. I think they're the favorite team here. I think Hunters are the underdogs in this matchup, but history just continues repeating itself. As a reminder, Hunters, their overall match win record versus the Philadelphia Fusion all-time franchise, 5-1. And this entire year, Hunters have beaten Fusion twice out of 2 times. This is their 3rd match this year, and Hunters are currently on match point. It just seems like no matter what Hunters does, even if they just get dominated by Sol, allow Sol to set a new world record in Dorado attack, Hunters will still find a way to beat Fusion. I don't know.
Well, we're heading down under for what could be the final map of this series. As Avril outlined, the Hunters doing pretty good against Fusion, looking to rack up that 3rd win today. And questions around MN3, I'm kind of inclined to agree with your theory here, Avril. I think it's definitely going to be the access to those, to the Widowmaker, to the Ashe, especially because Leave just keeps flexing onto them and causing such a hassle for the Fusion in previous maps.
Also have an update on Bad Pachamari. He said, we'll go bold if you lose the Hunters, in a response to the Fusion going live versus the Hunters tweet. So Bad Pachamari about to be bold Pachamari.
So that's what we're doing now. We're just throwing BP under the bus and just making sure everyone's aware, know where to hide, can't delete the tweet afterwards. You gotta follow through, you know.
Yeah. You gotta have some follow through here. And I said to him, I was like, if you're gonna do that, then I request that you go bold by tearing your hair out with your bare hands out of anger. Just in sheer anger, just tear it out.
The true Philadelphia Fusion fan experience.
Yeah.
Look at this being sneaky. Fusion setting up. They're trying to dodge.
It's a rite of passage for a Fusion fan. There's a moment in
it's a coming of age.
Fusion gameplay where you're tearing out pieces of hair. Like Ashley from The Boys.
Nice pullback. Oh my god, Nisha gets deleted! Oh my god, Fury finding the jagged blade pullback, and he just gets sniped out of the sky by Leave. Well, he gets sniped out of the sky by MN3. What a start coming in for the Fusion, but Leave answers back on the Z. That's a long walk back from the spawn room, my friends.
And it's not long for Nisha. Nisha's already here.
Nope. Nisha is also one of the fastest heroes in the game. Fury will get a Carnage kill onto Monk. Nisha now taking out Aim God. Jimmy follows up on Fixer. That's it. That full hold, that's gone.
Enemy down.
Yeah, very quickly as well. I respect them for the full hold, because I think as a Junk Queen team, much like you would do in the Ryan version that goes back in 6v6, you want to be brawling as early as possible. There's no reason you should be playing far back, and even if you do lose at the front, notice it's still taking Hunters a long time to get this payload underway. So as long as the Fusion can re-attack the payload before we get to the open part of the map, so what I like to call the kill box at choke point, I'm sure we'll see it when the camera, there it is. So it's about to leave the kill box now. And yeah, okay, well, Fusion too late, because that's the next position they needed to hold.
Open territory. Quite dangerous. Fury gets on the payload to stop his progress. It's Jimbu. Takes a bit of attention, but not too much. Gaga under fire. Oh no, they're spoofing to the side. There's an environmental here waiting to happen.
Almost off the map.
I know. It's so close. Oh, someone pay attention. Zest needs your help. Taking down lows. Leave rotating.
Nearly on support
good sight lines. Oh my god, Aim God's gone. No support ultimates online. Cut through the Gaga, that's a good answer here, but Jinmu's going to walk forward with the blade. Beat comes out as well to reinforce it as Fury gets cut down. The Fusion will dash away from this onslaught that's coming in from Jinmu. There's no point A defense left to have, and that's going to be the capture going over to the Hunters.
And this is what happens when the Hunters can win the first fight in a way where Jinmu can build a lot of ult charge, because it goes for a long time. It's a multiple frag long skirmish. It's a bit of a delayed kill into MN3 there for an extra stagger. That's pretty brutal. That's going to affect Fusion's reinforcement time here to regroup. And it's an ult difference, because neither Aimgon nor Fixer had an ultimate on the sound barrier or the rally to actually counter the Dragon Blade. And it's just, you know, Gaga has already been traded for, I think it might have been Aimgon. It was a 1-for-1 trade. So 4v4, blade available, pretty clean win for Hunters.
Gonna have that blade ready to go. Lots of ultimates on the board for Fusion. They're gonna have the full stack ready to go. Just have to go into the rally and the overclock from leave. Good progress should be made here to shut down the Hunters. If you're the Philly Fusion, the Disruptor, getting some early chip damage on. They will just wait now. The whole buffet
5 ultimates, by the way.
Yeah, whole buffet ready to go.
This has got to be a fight win. The question for me was, when Fusion win this fight, because they really should be winning this fight, how many ultimates will it cost? And when are they going, by the way? Because the payload's moved under the bridge now.
Yeah, Hunters have disengaged away from this. They heard the overclock coming
Which is
from
the right
NN3.
call. Because this is now
Yes.
a nullified ultimate. It's not, this ultimate will now do nothing for you. So it's 1 ultimate gone. So it's now a 4 versus 2 ultimate exchange. Does cost Hunters some time. Actually, this costs Hunters a lot of space. Well, you notice that Hunters kind of stuck in that underneath section.
They emerge forward. They're going in. Here's the whole super throw in Zest. Goes for the kill on Nisha on the back line. Turns attention over to Jinmu. That's 2 being taken out. The Fusion will roll over, get control of the payload, and start to dig their heels in. But there are still 3 minutes left for the Hunters to try and break through this.
And I think Leave expending the overclock there pressures Fixer to also pull out the sound barrier, because he doesn't want Zest just to get headshot on approach. So it's a 2-for-1 ultimate exchange, with MN3 also using the overclock earlier. And ends up being a 1-for-3 ultimate exchange all up over the course of about 1.5 fights, including the first skirmish. So not a bad ult exchange economically for the Hunters. It's really important that you are bleeding down Fusion's resources this way. Now you're setting up for a more even fight.
Well, Rampage cuts through, finds free. His lead gets deleted as the Hunters are retreating back into the spawn room. Goes for the Jagged Blade pull.
They all make it out.
They all make it out. Wait, Gaga re-emerges with the Rampage. Only finds MN3 and Engod. Hunters willing to commit very hard to this re-contest. Immediately as they cut through, they found 2 well off the payload. They can get a few more kills, maybe a stagger at the end. They got some serious progress to convert. Fury takes that monk right at the end there. Nisha clears them out, and that's finally all of them gone. They will get it round onto the home stretch at point B. I don't think it's enough to get the capture, though.
It's 2 ultimates expended by Fusion to push the Hunters into spawn. You'll notice that Hunters managed to get away with 4 alive, which is huge. So 2 ultimates, but Hunters only lose 1 member. That's a pretty reasonable trade for the Hunters to have. Because there's a spawn camp incoming, Hunters know that they have to expend resources to get out of spawn. So the only sort of silver lining here for the Fusion is it is delayed for the Hunters to get onto the cap. How does this fight go? Now Fixer's low, it's just dead.
They lost Fixer. What are you doing, Fusion? Seems a little bit lost right now. Jinmu goes up to the skies. Can't find himself a target, turns his attention to the Zest. Cuts through, dash to the back line, and this is going to be MN3 surely going down as well here. Tries to turn it around so close.
That's not bad.
Oh, MN3 gets away with it! But it doesn't ultimately result for much as the Hunters will go and get the completion.
MN3 self-staggering currently. He actually needed to die there. I think he actually should not have gotten the health back either. I don't know what he was doing. Like, once you kill Jinmu, that's great, because you're slowing down the Hunters briefly. I say briefly because Jinmu would just get the forward spawn anyway. You need to just die. Collecting a health pack and then feeding 200 more extra HP while delaying your own death and respawn makes no sense to me.
It's cost them a lot. They're losing the control of the turnstile right now. Payload's about to move forward. Got a good position to be able to dive down onto it. MN3. Pop in the overclock. Long sightlines to abuse here. Gaga trying to escape. Nisha exposes themselves to damage. It was the only way they could take to regroup with the team. Nice flick onto Jinmu. And the Fusion pack Hunters into the hidey hole. As the Disruptor will do the brunt of the work here for MN3 to pick up great kills on the end.
So this is important for the Fusion to be able to force a very early reset. And as you sort of said, right, that opening spin top turntable area of the C point was started to be assaulted by the Chengdu Hunters, so Fusion need map control back, and they do that by getting these frags in there. MN3 kind of making up for his earlier error by just getting a bunch of kills. Disruptor shot was pretty perfect there as well to stop the Hunters from retreating, and now Fusion get to build back up into their ult bank of nearly 4 ultimates.
Fury point blank, taking that damage. Gaga's going to re-emerge, has the ultimate alive. Fury cuts through free. Beat comes out in the answer from Nisha. He's going to have a counter coming in from Fixer. There's a nice little overlap here. Gaga has free reign to use the Rampage. We'll have to go against... Oh,
he's stuck against the corner though.
Does that happen? No, he's going to go for it. He still finds free. Anti-heal, in effect. Zest comes out with a blade to find leave. Jinmu takes out Fixer. 1-for-1 trade. The Genji's being the one to pick them up. 1 minute remaining as Zest finds the second. And as the Hunter's being sent back to the spawn room, great dash through there from Zest, already working on his next blade. He will have to settle for what he's got so far and hold this position. Hang on a minute. Of course, Gaga, Aimgod goes down again, staggering the fusion even more. Fury gets to come down with the carnage on Jinmu. And finally, the fight's going to reset, but they are merging back onto the point as fast as they can. There are 30 seconds remaining and still a little bit of distance to go if you're the Hunters looking for the completion.
Yeah, they were waiting for Jinmu there. Monk, by the way, missed a whip shot into Zest. Maybe he could have lived if he actually hit that one. It's pretty hard to hit Zest sometimes, I do admit. Rally versus what will be Overclock, so MN3's position now, it's his turn to carry the fusion if they are to defend this point properly. Some rails being exchanged between Leave and MN3. And Jinmu, heal him up, blade up, see what happens. If Jinmu can kill MN3, there's hope for the Hunters yet.
He's about to do it. Didn't even need to use the blade on that one. Avril, MN3 put on life support. Overclock popped. Looking for the shots. Can't find Jinmu. He's a very slippery Genji today, unfortunately.
Hasn't bladed yet.
I think that's... Yeah, hasn't bladed, still holding that. Here we go. Blade on the back line. Nice. Disengage coming in. Goes to the hunt. Takes out Zest. Gets the reset. Can't find a follow-up dash, but will go on the hunt for Fury, I believe. Who's locked
Fury's
down
alive!
I don't know how Fury got away with that one. Jinmu turned away a little bit too early. Leave gets Fixer on the exit. Now locked him inside the spawn room. Bunch of stagger kills here. Overtime in effect. They're going to walk this one in. Any emergence that comes out here for the fusion is going to be staggered. They have to find kill after kill. They're going to do it.
They're not even there. They're not there.
Away. Zest can't get there in time. And there's the Hunters completing in OT. They guarantee themselves another attempt, even if Fusion make it to the end.
And I said as well, you know, if Jinmu can kill MN3, there's a hope there for Hunters, but what he does is he pressures MN3 out anyway. He does a lot of damage in the neutral, even called it out. He actually nearly killed MN3, doesn't quite do it. MN3 pulls through the overclock, but Hunters disengage. I mean, it's what we saw in our previous series when, you know, Jimmy pops the overclock in Coliseum, Valiant just scatter, and if you are Jimmy or MN3 in this case with the overclock, you can't see anybody. You just don't have any shots on targets because there's no targets. And then Hunters, knowing that they have time to play with still, they're playing specifically for a big OT push, saving the blade. You'll notice that Jinmu doesn't pull blade while the overclock's going. No reason to take the risk. Just let the overclock be expended, then go in when it's out, and now you have a free blade to pull on through. And he, I think, got Zest down as first target very clean.
Yep.
Catches Zest trying to wall climb away, and he's gone. So, yeah, Hunters take away the key playmaker there from Zest, and then Fury, despite getting away, loses both their support. So Aimgod Fixer down means that Fusion have no staying power in that fight. They're waiting for respawns, but no one can come out and touch. Even if they do touch, I think they just get fragged anyway. Hunters get a very, very clutch cap on C, where things start to look like a bit more of a struggle given how little time was left.
All right, close hold attempt coming in from the Hunters. It is really the play you have to make here on Junkertown. See if they get any quick shots that they did on the way out last time. Shot the shot sent in, not getting another free ult charge, and then free.
Okay, here it is.
Now. This is what we
This is why you play MN3 on this map, because he can play the Ashe. He actually, wait a minute, he might die.
No.
He nearly died in spawn in Jinmu.
Jinmu!
Actually, Jinmu is going to get punished for that. I don't know what Nisha's doing there either, but they're both just going to die for it.
They were so ham on MN3. It's not even like a super valuable pick to get there. MN3 just walks out the spawn gate a couple of seconds later. Like, you don't have to throw your life on the line for that pick.
I think the thinking there, I don't know what Nisha's doing, but I think the thinking there for Jinmu is if I kill MN3 here, I get a dash reset and I can get out anyway.
What, Jinmu?
And now he just dies again. I don't know. Is there got to be an A defense from Hunters or what? Because they're just constantly down currently.
Jinmu stay alive.
So what I'm saying is,
brackets very hard.
I can understand why Jinmu went in, but what was Nisha doing after that? That doesn't make sense to me.
Reinforcements maybe called for help. Does like help get me out of this one?
Oh, Jinmu was dead.
But, yeah.
He came in too late.
I don't know what to tell you. Leaves up on the high ground. Will drop down. Fires a railgun shot. Disruptor into the middle of the field. Sees Zesh trying to get out of the carnage. Aimgod under pressure at the moment, but they're still trying to deal with that Genji who's just being sustained by the backline of Aimgod and Fixer. Just very stagnated on the payload right now. Jinmu very forward, dashes
leave.
to apply some pressure. There's the shout coming in. The Gaga will go down to Fury's fist. And then free, take out leave. Finally, some reprieve for the Fusion. they'll just keep moving forward. There's no real resistance being put down here. Line drawn in the sand, but very quickly stepped over as they get point A and move on to point B.
That's pretty flawless from Fusion. I don't even think they really lost members there in that fight. And they didn't have to ult. Zest doesn't have to pull blade comparatively, and this is the hopium for Fusion right now. Comparatively, A point was a lot harder for Hunters to cap. A lot harder.
Yes.
So Fusion have so far done better than Hunters on their first approach, which you'd love to see.
Junkertown is a long map
To extend the, which is scary because Hunters finish the map. So Fusion want to finish the map. They need more fights like that.
Zest pulls the blade, drops down from above. Gaga seems to be the focus. MN3 will pick up Nisha. They change targets. Keeping an eye with the railgun, using that overclock to try and apply pressure. They're making them all retreat. Dashes forward. MN3 playing so aggressively to try and get those kills. Might be punished here as Jinmu cuts through him. Gets himself to the back line with the dash reset and
forces the beat
as well after taking the bite out of this fight. But Fury finds Gaga with the headshot, still pressing forward. Rampage available for them. Wants to conserve that, but Jinmu again finding Fury. All these picks coming in off the back of the Genji, redeeming himself after some blunders in the first stage of this map.
Jinmu dies on his S, and now it's opportunity for the Fusion to come back in. The rally has been pulled by Aim God as well. Nisha held on to the sound barrier. Now maybe wishes he didn't, but it's hard in that situation to make that call because how would you be able to know that someone like Jinmu would go down like that? It's rough. It's not
Jinmu
a rally.
I think rally's going to go down like that.
I think a rally would have been a lot easier to make the call to actually play in it, but heroics from Jinmu unfortunately will not save B. And it is a monstrous time bank to work through. 4:36 to get through to C and finish the cap. I gotta say, look, Fusion have more than enough time to finish the map now. If they can't finish Junkertown with an active time bank, so something more than 0, I don't know. What else? Is there more hair that Bad Pachimari can pull off?
MN3's gone.
A moustache maybe? A goatee they can pull off?
Little whispers on the forearm, perhaps. You're going to trade Zest for lead. There's no Sojourns on the field right now. Nice cut through from Jinmu again. These moments of brilliance coming out from Jinmu. Just finding
really stepped up
and really taking part. Yeah, 100%, I agree. Gaga goes for the reclaim. Nice carnage through. Helps Fury get taken out. Jinmu there on sweeper duty once more. Gaga's going to take out Aim God, has some assistance there. So Hunters, they begin this long campaign.
Oh, wait a minute.
What the god? A sliding headshot onto Jinmu as MN3 escapes. Carnage lands on him afterwards to trade him back, but MN3 just on the escape. He's like, yeah, Jinmu, later, buddy.
He dies, but he gets bonus points for stall right there. It's
oh, 100%.
If this is a diving competition, I'm holding up the card that says 10 for that kill. But, still dies. So maybe a 9 actually, because he did die. But landed cleanly into the water. Very little splash. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Golf clap from me. 3 minutes still remaining now. Hunters have so far a pretty reasonable hold on this opening area.
There's a Rampage available here for Gaga. They're going to hold on to it. Zest finds 2. It's taken out the sky by Jinmu. Rally for Monk. There's the blade coming in from Jinmu. Goes on the counter attack.
Oh my god, he's got no HP.
Getting knocked back. He finally gets some sustain from his supports. Up into the sky. Fury finds a kill onto Gaga. A second on the Jinmu. The payload hasn't really moved that much though. They're still having to press it forward. They're about to level it out with the turnstiles. Fixer goes to reclaim some space up high. A good sound wave here will disrupt the formation and force everyone down onto the low ground.
Okay,
now
Gaga's waiting for
that turning.
A big opportunity here because you actually need to see Fusion not stack together too hard. So Fusion are actually spacing quite well here. Definitely players on that sort of high ground on the turntable there is not going to get affected by the Rampage. So it's important that Hunters try and take control of that and force players down. And now they can just sort out this payload. So Fusion actually backed on out. They are no longer contesting payload. And I think Hunters are okay with this one. They just play passively, wait for Fusion to come back out, then play for the Rampage.
Gaga finding free. Nice sustain coming in. Fixer with a clutch beat at the end there to keep Aim God and Zest alive, but Leaf finishes them off. Zest still on the field. Fixer turns it around onto Monk. Leaf gets taken out by Fury after using a Rampage of their own. And the Fusion have this on the home stretch. They're still picking up kills. They're going to complete with some time back left to spare at this rate.
Jinmu alive. Jinmu can still touch it. He's alive. That was very important. If Jinmu died, I think the map might be over. With Jinmu alive here, he will get healed, he will be able to contest, it will be a final fight, and Nisha can get the sound barrier as well. It's not quite over.
Disruptor is there. Nisha, 99%, has it for the 100. Can use this on tempo.
He's got to do it. He's got to do it.
He has to use it for Jinmu. Jinmu was about to go down. They used it aggressively to go into the fight. Fury's been removed from the field. And now they can force the Fusion away. They lose 2 on the exit, but they have 1 minute 20 left to spare. They have a final contest against this payload to try and get it over the line. They need a decisive victory to do that.
And the pathway to do that is first of all, okay, get a couple of cleanups here to slow down. You need to bleed the timer down into the OT as effectively as possible. That's another very valuable 10 seconds. Zest will have Blade in the next fight. Jim will have the Blade in the next fight, but there's only one support ultimate available in the rally for Monk. So Monk has to live, get the rally off, and not die mid-rally at all costs. That has to happen for Hunters to be able to hold here. At minimum, even if Hunters lose, they have to drag this time bank down to a 0 so that they are not at a deficit when we go into the time bank period.
How good your ult tracking? Do you know that Monk has that rally? Do you know to focus them or at least put pressure on the fight? I don't know. Zest got the play. Jinmu, like you said, they're going to clash against it. 30 seconds remaining. Not in position just yet.
And you can't rally until... Okay, now you rally,
Well, Zest goes into the back line. He's gone for the fight already. Fury's found leave! Jinmu takes out MM3. Both Sojourns off the field. It's a level fight for the time being. Monk's used that rally and has stayed alive for the duration. Strike's been staggered out as Zest's been found. I think the Hunters are going to use this spawn advantage to take it to them. Fusion are backing away with 30 seconds remaining. If they catch him on the stagger, it's all over. The Hunters are about to make it free for free against the Philadelphia Fusion.
This is it. This has got to be 4 seconds remaining. There's betting anyone alive. MM3 falls.
MM3's down. They can't touch Fix. They can't get there.
That's it. The last player that could have touched was going to be Fixer. He gets railed in mid-air, and the Chengdu Hunters, after getting 0-3 embarrassed by the Seoul Dynasty, a world record set on Dorado. It doesn't matter. It's a brand new game, a brand new opportunity, and the Hunters will retain their flawless victories against the Philadelphia Fusion this year. It's 3 for 3. They are still undefeated against the Philadelphia Fusion, a 6-1 franchise record. If there is one team the Hunters always manage to beat, it is the Fusion.
It's their kryptonite, confirmed by their consistent record. The Hunters looked so good in that series, Avril. Jinmu comes alive in these moments. Leave, just reminding us why they were an MVP candidate just on that first and second map. It was absolutely unreal from the Hunters. And the Fusion, especially their fans, left in disarray after that one. Hunters are really trying to secure themselves that solid position. One in particular, yeah, they're going to be missing a few hair follicles at the end of it. But I think the Fusion fans everywhere are a little bit devastated by that loss. We were coming in here going, yep, Fusion looking strong.
It's an interesting situation because some part of me thinks the signs were there in the Valiant game. It was such a struggle versus Valiant to the point where Valiant very easily could have won that series, and it slipped through their fingers. It did today as well, but this time it was a lot more deserved for the Guangzhou Charge given how dominant that last map was. But the reason why I bring up that game is, you know, Valiant are looking okay in this meta. I maybe thought they were a lot better than they actually ended up being, but the fact that Fusion struggled against them maybe had some early signs of struggle. That doesn't mean that they were going to lose the Hunters today, because Hunters struggled even worse against Seoul. But the difference is, that's Seoul. Seoul look amazing in this meta, so maybe it's not out of the question. Something that I think was a big return of force today, that was a big part of why the Chengdu Hunters won, is their 2021 MVP in Leave. He is our player of the match today. His Sojin and also the Widowmaker, surprisingly, really came up top. And I did not expect that he was going to be as good as he was today, because he has had a pretty quiet season so far. But man, has he come back to form today.
What an animal. Like, he forced Fusion to adapt, put Carfing on the Widowmaker to try and contest. Zest getting shut down when it was his job to apply pressure to Leave and stop them from being an absolute menace on the field. Again, follow up with Railgun. The Sojourn just as strong when it came around to these clutch moments. Look at this. 1-2. Zest out of duplication. Zest out of life. Beautiful. I couldn't think of a more deserving candidate. Maybe Jinmu towards the end when Jinmu was just coming in clutch everywhere. Yeah. But for consistency in this series, you've got to give it to Leave.
I think it was just so surprising. That first map was such domination, so that set the tempo. I think, you know, you get a lot of belief in your team. The team morale is fantastic right off the cuff when you have someone like Leave on the Sojin, and then also, again, surprisingly on the Widowmaker coming through and just setting the standard, setting the pace, and Hunters never let off that pace, you know. It feels like they got up to 5th gear quite quickly, and they never really got below 4th gear for that series, which, you know, it's very impressive for a team that has not had the best season so far. You know, fighting against a lot of issues internally, you know, trying to battle uphill, and this is such a deserved win for them that allows them to get further away from the bottom of the pack, bottom of the A pack, where, you know, I did say that for Guangzhou to catch up, they need to get past teams like Valiant, but also after the Valiant, there's teams like Chengdu that seem to be struggling as well. But now that Chengdu have beaten the Fusion, Chengdu are probably out of striking distance for the Guangzhou Charge. So, Hunters are saving their season hopes for still making playoffs.
I think we did say like maybe one of the opponents the Charge could take were the Hunters. I'm not so sure after that performance, Avril. I think maybe that might be something that they're both going to struggle against when it comes to the end of this season, or the end of this series anyway. But wow, 3-0 for the Hunters, absolutely impeccable by them, and maybe it is the silly region. Maybe APAC is silly after all, Avril.
I enjoy games like this though. I think this was good. I think it only gets it depends on how you define it. I think it would have been silly if Chengdu got 0-3'd by the Fusion, but then beat Seoul 3-0. That'd be silly, because that would be like what you suggested. But like beating the Glass and losing the NYXL. But beyond that, look, what a brilliant day. We got to see a brilliant 5-mapper to start out with. Guangzhou got their second ever win in this entire season. And Chengdu rescued their hopes after getting demolished by Seoul. They actually came back in a big sort of way. So, good games all around. Impressed.
Absolutely, and I'm going to say that the Charge definitely was the spirit bomb we requested, just being funneled into the Charge to help them get that victory today. We're going to take credit for that somehow. Anyway, that's been myself, Trid. I've been joined by Avril today. We're closing out the week for APAC, but stick around for later because we'll obviously be back with the rest region later today. Thank you so much, and have a nice day. Bye!